Welcome back, gentle friends, one and all. Apparently the action was not just too hot for the main NUEL channel, but too hot for everyone as we pop back in to Fortnite versus Cheez-Its, and we get again to witness the majesty of the Rat Ogre's prehensile tail putting pay to any dodging chances.
Yes, once again, the stakes are thus Fortnites are currently in 8th and in playoff position. Cheez-Its are intent and looking to overtake the Fortnites. A win here for either team will secure them for playoff positioning. A draw for the Fortnites mean they probably make it in, but they have to contend with tiebreakers, but they definitely want to be getting that guaranteed win and that guaranteed in.
Well, there's a guarantee if you get hit in the face by a Rat Ogre, you're going to remember it's tomorrow. The knock free is extremely good for them. And now suddenly the Bretonians feeling a heck of a lot less confident about their chances of moving the ball forwards.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't take the block with the thrower there, because they get the block on that side blitzer. To be fair, you attack into a blitzer, the blitzers have block and dodge. It makes going into them really difficult, especially even with 2 tackle dice. So they'll get the knockback on the thrower, keeping their distance, trying to maintain control of this ball. Or at least what little control I have over it, as the rest will take down another Skaven.
We do have Dauntless for where are we dropping, but instead it's going to be the Blitz. It's going to be a pushback onto the ball? No, away from the ball.
They want to try and get as many Bretonians around the ball as they can, so getting in that direction prevents the ball from scattering and maintains their decent positioning around it.
A Hackflem, the star player, getting knocked on there behind there. So we are left with just the one Rat Ogre covering the ball right now. It's been a little bit of desperation time as, uh-oh, that's going to be a dead Marshmallow. You didn't even think a Marshmallow could die, but you've just seen him before your very eyes.
Well, he is dead, and once again, even if you make it through this game and make it into playoffs, you still have to play the playoffs. Losing a player, even if it is just a lineman for a Bretonian side, is quite a significant impact going forward, so the Cheez-Its definitely getting the advantage. Also affects the rest of this game, because there's still more than half of it to play, so that's a player that, for the default that's not going to be able to take the pitch, and not going to be able to stand up against this Rat Ogre, who is just going completely ham right now.
That ham sandwich is going to end up leading them away from the ball, though, so somewhat doing the Bretonians' work for them, but it's still a encircled wagon situation here for Torviz and the Fortnites as they look to knock down the Ogre. It's going to be a re-rolled and still a failure. That's pretty major. And
they're just going to keep rolling dice with him. They need to bring him down, and they eventually managed to do so, but after you've used a reroll and a blitz for this, you need to get a hold of the ball here. Okay, you get a hold of the ball. It's in a cage, but the cage is currently surrounded by Skaven. You need to be careful here.
Oh boy, this is tough times indeed. Finally, the Rat Ogre falls down, and a punch to the face. There we go. Whole Grain Cheddar. Get out of here. KO'd.
No, I thought he was out, but no, he's definitely out now. So that's going to be, decent position from the Bretonians, but they have left the right flank of the ball carrier exposed, but they can get that thrower in, make a blitz, and try and get the ball loose via that. They also get knocking down the corner piece so they can get some extra players in to try and get some blocks going.
Yeah, we've still got all of these blitzers, extremely strong players for the Bretonian team as part of the conversation. As the Rat Ogre Bruslash up to the feet once again, it's going to be a hit on to Thor, the ball carrier, and knocking them down right next to 2 Skaven players. I mean, who the heck knows where this ball's going to go? It falls to Bacon Cheddar. They miss. It passes across to Spicy Hot. They miss as well. It goes to Cranial, and finally out the back end. I mean, that does favour the Skaven team, and they're going to be able to go and snavel up the ball straight away.
Because then once you've done all that, you just have a player that's not in any tackle zones and not really trying to do anything, just come across and pick up the ball. How do you even pronounce that? Weeze? It's badly hurt, so at least that's another Skaven that's going to be able to contend with the ball this far, but this is the Bretonians' drive as well, wasn't it? So they... Oh, hello, it's Bretonians' drive, and they're on their 7th turn. There's a chance that the Cheez-Its could score now and then get the ball back in the second half, as the Rat Ogre does actually get an arm break here. It's only going to be a stunned.
You see how much attention that Rat Ogre has drawn from away from the rest of the body of the Skaven team, though. Interestingly, there's... Cheddar Jack is currently off the pitch. I'm not sure if they were just left out this time. That would be a pretty big surprise. But there's 2 turns left for Dogstead. But getting hit there, OG Cheddar is going to go down. The ball goes wild. but it's still in a pretty safe area for the Skaven, or is it?
That's surprisingly safe for the Skaven. They have good agility. They can maybe not make that pick up with the third Bretonnian there. With some good blocks and a few good dodge rolls, they can score a touchdown from there is the amazing thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that you could ever put past these sneaky rats. As we will have a block. That's one of the 3 Bretonnians off of the ball. Still 2 more there. The blitz. The star player, even with 2 heads, failing the dodge there. That's extremely unlucky.
Well, fortunately for them, the Skaven side, though, the ball is pretty secure in this position. The Bretonnians aren't known for their amazing ball handling skills in the first instance, so they're going to struggle to get this ball up and out of the cage, or this mosh pit even. They'll struggle even harder to score because they do not have the movement allowance such that the Skaven do.
Yes, everyone is envious of those gutter runners and their ability to get around with movement 9. Utterly ludicrous stuff. What should have been a chance for the Bretonnian team to at least enact some vengeance does not seem to be going so well, though. Finally managing to get a defender down, but no armor break, and the Skaven team, they look like they're actually surviving the retaliation pretty darn well.
Can only get a triple dice here, and that will be a block or a wrestle. So that's going to be an armor break. They'll have to go for the sprout. Big stomp.
There's a decent chance of making this. It's only a stun, though.
That result literally does not matter. It's the end of the half 4 or the fortnights. They can no longer score with this drive, and they will be kicking the ball straight into the clutches of the Skaven going into the next half.
Bruslash, the shriek inducer for me. With already an injury to their name. Doing a fantastic job so far to end out that first half. And so while it's 0-0 going into the second half, the Skaven now get to receive the ball, and we've all seen it before, how impossible it is to get the Skaven to not score when they've got the opportunity.
Yes, their ability to maneuver is so dangerous. They have movement 9, they have agility 4, they have dodge, they have so much access to these good traits at just maneuvering the ball through the entire Bretonnian side at once if they need to. I'll probably take a much less risky approach, though, considering they have an entire half to work with. They don't necessarily need to go for the immediate touchdown, but they can score pretty reliably here, I would say. The Bretonnians need to, I would say, get a good kick deep into the Skaven territory, force them to have a few rats back that a blitzing blitzer can get a hold of, get the ball loose deep, and then from there just try and drag the half out.
So with 2 players injured, 4Cheese and Wheezies, I'm going to say Wheezies just because I enjoy saying it. There are 10 players, including Hackflem, Scuttle, Spike, gosh, try and say that 5 times fast, who so far doesn't really feel like they've made too big of an impact on the game.
To be fair, it's Skaven side playing defense. None of these Skaven will feel like they're having a high impact on this game. They are not defensive players. They are not blocking players. They are these players outside of the Rata got here just exclusively to run the ball, which they have not been able to do so thus far. So presumably we'll see more action out of this star player this half.
It's worth noting that Hackflem has got agility 4 on top of the 2 heads and dodge, so they can do stuff that other players that you can only just dream about. Dodging through multiple tackle zones and the like, and still having a pretty good chance of making it as the kick comes out. We have got kick skill for the Bretonnian team as the Riot comes in.
That
I actually don't know who that favours.
That favours the Cheez-Its. Because they want to score this touchdown. They don't really have too much control of the tempo of the match. That will be dictated by the Bretonnians. They want to force the Cheez-Its to an early score and then get the ball back so they can get the draw at least. With that reduced turn timer, it still allows the Cheez-Its a lot of maneuverability in how they score the touchdown, but it reduces the chance of the Fortnite scoring one back. So
a re-rolled block there from Bruslash does get a stun, but that was a very close thing. That's the fend for the Bretonnian lineman, one of the reasons why there was, Ninja with the dirty player has gotten injured themselves.
We're an MG as well.
Oof.
So he's going to be out for at least the remainder of this game, which is the important one. Is that we'll see the ball picked up by that thrower, and then we'll actually fire it off immediately, and it just sort of, that's not what you want from your dedicated position player, just landing the ball out in the middle of nowhere where the Bretonnians can easily move up to contest it.
No, that is a huge problem for Dogster and the Skaven team. So a chance for Torviz, as much of that first half did not go so well. Now Spicy Hot, the guard, Storm Vermin will get put on their behind on the ground. They got to charge forward, but it looks like there's not actually going to be an attempt, or is there, to pick it up, instead smothering the ball in players.
This is the safer option. It allows you more time to move up more of your players. It also... you don't necessarily need to pick up the ball immediately if you're on the 4 lines. If you have control of it, you have plenty of turns to just fail pickup rolls for it. You don't need it this turn, you just need to have control of it, and they have more than enough of it right now, I would say.
I think you're right. If the ball gets failed to be picked up at this point, you've got no idea where it's going to end up, especially with all these gutter runners and... I keep forgetting the name. Hackflem knocking around, who've got a very good chance of stealing it away. Seems to be the Skaven are moving back for the time being. Of course, Bruslash will most likely be spending their turn whacking Travis.
No, they want to use the Blitz. They're using just the... is that a Line Rats? They're using... yes, one of the Line
Grain
Rats
Cheddar.
to get the bullets off on this Rat Ogre onto this cage.
Alright, here we go. Doesn't go onto the ball, instead just wants to be part of the conversation.
There are too many Bretonians around the ball right now to risk getting a knockdown onto the ball. You just want to get your Skaven around it before you attempt something like that. So I'll go for a few blocks here just to get rough control of the ball. It's still pretty even right now, I would say, but they're at least in a better position than they were at the start of the turn.
So Hackflam not being brought in to be an issue around the ball, being kept out of position with Nor the Storm Vermin. So evidently something on Dogster's mind, maybe hoping to get the ball and pass it across the pitch to go for a cheeky score.
Yeah, that has to be your main game plan at this point. Use those high agility, high value players to get the actual score, and use your blind rats, which you don't particularly care if you lose too much, to actually do the dirty work of getting the ball out, excuse me.
Alright, so that's going to be Bacon Cheddar getting knocked down there as the Bretonians struggle valiantly to try and clear the Skaven away from the ball. You can see there a potential receiver, Noobmaster 69, as a double Skulls will get rerolled. And the Skaven, they're starting to suffer a little bit, not taking the armor breaks, but they are taking a pretty heavy hitting nonetheless. Yeah,
and you can see how many Bretonians are now around the ball area where it's going to be extremely difficult to pry a few of them loose to get on top of the ball. The guard available on a few of the players' default and floors means it's going to be a double dice against them on most of these blocks, I would imagine. They have to take their positional engagements extremely carefully, and they might just have to settle for getting the miracle blitz in of, I'm just going to rush in, I'll get them locked down on this player next to the ball, and then just rush in, get the ball, and run away with it. Thor gets actually another injury for this Skaven side. It's going to work extremely nicely for them. As one of the better players for the Bretonian side, but still need to get the ball.
So one of the reasons why you don't see that many people going for what we're seeing working so well for Dogster here with the Rat Ogre is the chance of the wild animal effect going off, even if you do feed the player a blitz, and then having the loner to stop the reroll on it. So far, I don't think the wild animal has even occurred.
I don't think it has either. But he has been punching a lot, so it does massively reduce the risk of failing that roll in the first place. Yeah, unfortunately, he could punch all the players he wants. He's still not a ball-handling player. He needs his line rats, his gutter runners to come in and actually scoop this thing up, and they're just not able to do so right now because this front line of blitzers is just holding them off so expertly. So now eventually it will be scooped up by Noobmaster 69, and what would you know, there's a Bretonian cage formed up.
Yes, it is a cage which also contains a Rat Ogre, so I definitely wouldn't feel too secure, but that is a KO right there, and a turnover for the Fortnites, which is a pretty big problem as the ball carrier is now opened up for further attentions from the Cheez-Its.
Actually, with that angle opened up, they can move a rat in just to get rid of a few tackles. No, they're just going to give them the raw blitz. They're going to punch you in the face. No, this works out. Because then the ball ends up on the floor and you have all of your activations on the rest of your Skaven to try and advance the ball carrier.
That's so risky, though, but it works out for Dogster again. But look at that ball!
Oh, you hate to see it. Out of the hands of the Rat Ogre into the hands of the blocker, and that means you can't actually pick the ball up with the Skaven because now you've used your blitz action. It was a good game plan, but unfortunately, two of the worst bounces possible for them means they're not going to be able to get any value out of it. At least they'll get an arm break here.
Tafue going to get chucked out.
You actually got a lot of removed players this half on the armor breaks. The Tony have pretty decent armor, but they're just not being able to make the rolls.
Well, it's worth noting with where the ball is right now is next to the Rat Ogre Bruslash. Again, we've seen the prehensile tail deal with even players who do have dodge, so going for a dodge away here for Floss feels so very risky, but it may be the only choice you have. That's the block.
No, you just bring down the Rat Ogre. Block and Dauntless is such a powerful combination, and you can rock up the star player and, okay, not break his armor, but he's now off the ball carrier. You need to burn blitzes and get-ups just to get on top of him again, and there's no guarantee you even get the ball out of his hands. This eats up the clock, and this could just end up being a drag-out victory for Torviz, and it will end up being the Cheez-Its losing their playoff dreams.
Well, you knew exactly what was going to happen there, which was that Bruslash was going to try and go for it again. It looks like then the start we go. Hackflem gets hold of the ball and does what they've been waiting to do all game long, which is leg it up the pitch. No wild animals. I'll have to check back afterwards, but to the best of my recollection, no wild animals at all for Dogster in this game, when by all rights, their plans should have fallen apart multiple times already.
It's gone amazingly well for him. This is the playoff dream now. They're 2 turns away, and the bat with the ball there is absolutely in scoring range, and I don't know if anyone's in a good position to try and stop him from scoring. They'll bring back the lineman to try and at least dissuade him, but he's still got the full access to the left part of the pitch, and if you fail a dodge roll like that, you're just giving the ball straight to the Skaven.
That's the re-roll, and oh, yeah, hate to see it. That opens the door for the Skaven to get in. It looks like they're only going to need... Yeah, they're only going to need that one touchdown. The game is basically over, and it could, well, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's gonna...
If they don't score, okay, this is fine, because there is no hope in hell of the Bretonian side actually catching up to him at this point. This is guaranteeing the game, because he's going to score on his turn 16, give the ball back to Torviz on his turn 16. How do you score as Bretonian in one turn? I don't think it's physically possible. I think with that one move, Dogster has in fact secured himself the game and a tournament playoff place.
Oh boy, this game's just been crazy. Dogster, I think, setting themselves up extremely well as a wild card who's willing to blitz every freaking turn. And at the only point in the game where that wouldn't matter is when Bruslash manages to mess up the blitz.
Well, the Rat Ogre will remain on the dirt for the rest of the game, you have to believe. It's going to be Fortnite's last turn. They're going to go for SPP here. They're going to try and get some injuries. Hope to all hell they manage to make it through on tiebreakers, because... Wait, no, they don't even make it through on tiebreakers. If they lose this game, they're out of the tournament. They are playing for vengeance at this point. They are just trying to decimate as much of this Cheez-It side as they can in the remaining turn they have. But at this point, it is going to be... Unless something miraculous happens, I don't see how they don't score this touchdown. It is going to be the game and the player spot going the way of the Cheez-Its and Dogster.
Yes, finally found a use for the star player. Did the Dogster squad, and that's the advantage of being the underdog, is you get to access just, in these really high-end inducements that, well, they didn't make so much of a difference this time round. I'm impressed by what we've seen from Dogster. They show no fear whatsoever of how the dice turn against them. I think almost, resignation that, if that blitz doesn't work, if the Rat Ogre decides it doesn't want to play, you're pretty much done anyway, so you might as well give it a go.
Yeah, they took some high-risk plays and they've paid off magnificently for him. So now 1-0 up. It's going to be the punching turn for Fortnite, but Torviz can't really do anything. He's lost most of his line at this point, even if he had a way of scoring a one-turn touchdown. He definitely doesn't have the manpower to pull it off at this point. It is going to be a game for Cheez-Its.
Yeah, one last satisfaction to be earned there. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big shocker result. The Bretonians, they kind of caught us off guard with their performance during the earlier season. They're actually doing extremely well. And while they couldn't take down Masterful when they had their own crack at them, Dogster, has very much flown under the radar for the entire season. And now gets a chance to claim a pretty big, kill here to take out Torviz.
This is what I was saying as well. This is the redemption arc. He was at the end of week 4. He was 1-0-3. That's not a team that should be making playoffs, but here we are anyway. They have actually had an amazing last couple of weeks in this season, and well, they've definitely got the hardened player result, but actually the work is still to come because they do still need to win the playoffs.
Yes, Torviz is trying to give them just that little bit of a going away present before they make that big journey, potentially to the top. I certainly think it's been a legendary performance from their Rat Ogre as Scuttle Spike, that's the one. It's going to be put on the front line. Oh, whole Grain Cheddar will take an injury.
That's just badly hurt. Okay, that's fine. But permanent injuries would certainly hamper the playoff run chances of the Cheez-Its. But if they're just only badly hurt, it's probably going to be fine. And that's all that they will be. They're going to be a value pass here out from the Bretonian side. That will be the end of the game.
Oh.
We don't even get that. I feel like that's emblematic of the Fortnite's run, but it will be re-rolled.
So there we go. A little bit of satisfaction there for New Master. A couple of SVPs short of a level. And as you said, Torviz in a honestly baffling game there gets knocked out of players' contention. 1-0 to the Cheez-Its. And that's going to mean that that's two Skaven teams who've come from being non-entities in the competition to being in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And with the Renaissance Painters also making playoffs, they don't even need to consider tiebreakers at this point. I do believe they are just strictly in the playoffs bracket. So congratulations to them for making top 8. Commiserations to the Fortnites. They've been excellent for most of the season, unfortunately falling at the last hurdle. But that sometimes is just the way Blood Bowl plays out.
Let's take a little look at the SVP. You can see the Cheez-Its, they set themselves up pretty well for their playoffs appearance with a ton of SVP. Of course, Floss, who also got the MVP in that match as well, so would have leveled up to level 3 as a result of it, but we shall see them no more. So I have actually got hold of the final playoff standings through Ultimate Shenanigans. Let me just make sure these are the correct ones, because I don't want to give anyone any incorrect information. Let's see. Yes, these are at the end of the week, so let's bring up the final one. So I believe there was a match played, a friendly match to determine between Mystery Inc. and the Renaissance Painters for 8th place, but Mystery Inc. won, sending JSPS Monkey out of the competition. That is our top 8 represented in the order that they'll be entering playoffs.
Yes, OYBBL represent Dead Ends, West Street, last minute team name, I would get down in 5th. The 3 we had guaranteed, as well as the Jorvik Jets, who had their default win. They'll be joined by the West Street, while last minute, I'm getting myself confused, the Cheez-Its, Java Program, and Mystery Inc. as our sort of qualifying players, who weren't necessarily locked, but definitely made it in now. Commiserations to the Painters. They won the game they needed to, but unfortunately Destiny was not entirely within their grasp. Had to make it in that tiebreaker playoff and were not able to do so. But that is going to be our top 8 for playoffs.
Oh boy, so we're expecting to see number 1 seed against number 8, so Mystery Inc. just clawing their way in will get their first chance at OYBBL represent. It's crazy to think that we've got 2 Orc and 2 Skaven teams in it after all is said and done, when we had a pretty good variety of teams coming in.
There were a lot of Orc teams, to be fair. There's 3 in total. So it's not surprising to see them come through, but getting both Skaven teams through is quite remarkable, especially when you consider how punchy this league is. It's not necessarily the environment you'd think would be conducive to having them survive, yet alone thrive, but here we are with both the Jets and Cheez-Its making it through.
Yeah, Java Programming, Karaka down to 7th place. That was a pretty hefty fall, but it just goes to show how close things are. I mean, 4 wins all the way down from 2nd to 6th, with the exception of last minute team name, who accrued 3 draws along the way, effectively giving them 4 wins as well. It's really, really tight. The playoffs should be absolutely fantastic. So 4 games being played to determine who goes through. I'm kind of curious, if we assume that we're going to be seeing, 1st against 8, 2nd against 7, and so on, what would your predictions at this point for the playoffs be?
Okay, let's go with the obvious one first. OYBBL versus Mystery Inc. is going to go the way of OYBBL. I'm sorry, Hogtooth Scott, but you are against Masterful, and we have seen how good that man is. Java Programming versus Dead Ends. It's a punchy line for both sides, but we've seen Java programming struggle against Orc sides before, and I think we're going to see that happen again, so I believe Dead Ends will come through there. West Street Wild versus the Cheez-Its. I don't know that the Orcs can actually keep up with the Skaven, having seen this matchup go both ways, but the Cheez-Its have taken a bit of a pounding. I'm going to say Cheez-Its, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that go in a direction. Jets versus last minute team name. I feel like the Dark Elves are going to try and do a bad Skaven impersonation, and the Skaven are going to do a good Skaven impersonation, and it will be the Jets moving on.
All right, from where I'm standing, yeah, I would have to agree with you on the Masterful Hog Dude. Though I think something to be watching out for is that Hog Dude Scott's Mystery Inc. team actually have the highest team value of any team in the playoffs coming into it. So that's, I think you shouldn't count them out entirely, but I give pretty good odds Masterfuls at least gets through the first round. Dogsters Cheez-Its against the Dead Ends. I would actually go the other way myself, just because the amount of
Cheez-Its aren't against Dead Ends, Cheez-Its are against West Street War.
Oh, well, in that case, I take everything back. Java programming against Dead Ends. Yes, that's the one. I have to do really up and down the table. It's too tough for me. As much as Caracas ended up the last week in 7th place, I can see them potentially doing well. I would favour Java maybe 60-40 over the Dead Ends, but I mean the Dead Ends, they are the best performing Orc team, as well as compared to West Street War, relatively intact. So I wouldn't be particularly confident in that. For Dogsters Cheez-Its, yes, against West Street War. As much as the West Street War have taken an absolute beating, the way Dogster was playing that game, which was pretty aggressively, I think something's got to give. I would give that a 50-50, just because I think if Dogster keeps playing like that, they're going to sort of coin flip every match. And if you happen to be the player who gets tails against them, then you just lose, which is kind of what I felt like happened in the previous game for the Fortnite. So I think anything could happen there.
Yes.
And for Jets against last minute team name, I think it's really hard to call because they're both agility teams. They both could score a ton, but I don't know. I mean, the Jets, they've been on a winning streak recently, whereas last minute team name less so, but I'd maybe give it to Jets 60-40 as well.
Okay, fair enough.
But guys, that's all we got time for today. Again, apologies. I don't know if I got around to apologising the first time we were trying to get back in so quickly, but apologies for the technical problems before. Hopefully, it'll be all Gucci from here on out. But we have the playoffs to look forward to, so hope you guys will come along and join us for them. We'll have to make our final plans as to how it's all going to work out. Hopefully, we can maybe get in a live final. We'll see how the practicalities of that work out. It's to timing, all that kind of nonsense. But for now, thank you guys so much for joining us. I've been Canafit, joined by X Curly, and we'll see you guys next week for the start of the